Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome. The wait is over.
Let's get this thing started.
Go!
To quote a dear friend of mine, welcome one and all across the nation and around the world. I welcome you all to the Inner Out Sports Debates best of episodes 71 through 80 that we celebrate tonight live. I am your host, Drew Willingham, here to bring you the best of episodes 71 through 80 tonight as we celebrate 100 episodes of this show, celebrating 100 episodes of this show tonight on August 22nd, 2023. Now, we're going to start this off with episode 71's highlight, since we're at 71 through 80 tonight on this January. And back in January 10th of 2023, earlier this year, we started the new year off by rolling into this show. And with this being episode 71 here, we had some great topics to discuss. And with this one, we're going to take you to the By the Numbers segment. And with this By the Numbers segment, I think you're going to be pretty interested to see what we have to say when it comes to the game of football for episode 71. Connor is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 71 in all of sports history. How do you feel about this one, Rob? Do you agree with this one? Are you in or are you out on this?
I'm out.
Rob is out.
Larry Allen, I'll keep this short and sweet. Larry Allen wore 71, and George Connor being a great player both on defensive and offensive end, he's not greater than Larry Allen. Larry Allen wore 71 for 2 seasons with the San Francisco 49ers, and he was a multiple time Pro Bowl and all Pro Bowl player, and he went to a Pro Bowl with the 49ers. So I'll give it to Larry Allen. I'll also say that Jason Peters, who's number 71, was also a great player. And Walter Jones, who's another great Hall of Fame player, also wore 71. So I'll give it to those 3 guys.
I disagree with this, but for different reasons. I mean, definitely solid picks for what Rob had for his selection, but I got to look at Walter Jones, the offensive tackle for the Seattle Seahawks from 97 to 09, was part of that Seattle Seahawks team that went to the Super Bowl. They did lose. Then you also have Alex Karras, who was with the Detroit Lions from 1958 to 1962 and from 64 to 70. It's a pretty lengthy career, part of the 3-time first-team All-Pro from 60 to 61 and in 65 and a 4-time Pro Bowler. But for the impact that Walter Jones had on Seattle Seahawks and, being there for a 10-year, 13-year career and helping lead that team to a Super Bowl, 9-time Pro Bowler, 2-time second-team All-Pro in 06 and 08, 4-time first-team All-Pro, part of the NFL 100th anniversary all-time team, and again, part of the NFL 100th all-time anniversary team. He's part of the Seattle Seahawks Ring of Honor, and his number 71 is retired there in Seattle. I got to go with Walter Jones. Fans, let us know what you think there in the comments.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
So what do you guys think when it comes to the best to ever wear number 71 in all of sports history? Let us know here in the comments. Looks like we got a couple comments to start the show off. Ike is in the house saying, yo, episode 71 through 80, let's go. Well, thank you, Ike, for being here in the house to start us off for this show here for episode 71 through 80. And we went through episode 71's by the numbers. We're going to take this to episode 72 now and see what we got in store for that when it comes to the greatest athlete to ever wear number 72 in all of sports history. Was it Dan Dierdorf that we have listed here in this graphic, or was it someone else? Let us know in the comments if you disagree with what we say or agree with what we have to say when it comes to the definition of the best to wear 72. Dierdorf is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 72 in all of sports history. How do you feel about this one? Do you agree with this? Are you in or are you out on this one?
In with a condition.
No, you can't go push. You just got to be in or out.
In with a condition. Trust me on this one. Trust me. In.
All right, in.
The other player that I have wearing number 72 is a homer pick because he actually started off wearing number 27, and that's Carlton Fisk. When Carlton was traded to the White Sox, he switched his number around and wore number 72. But in terms of football, I can't even say William Perry is the greatest to wear number 72 because he didn't last that long. Dan Dierdorf was the man for the St. Louis Football Cardinals and the man to wear number 72. The one that he's the one that fashioned it. He's the one that really, really wore it well, played well in it. So I'm all in. I'm all in with Dan Dierdorf. Not to mention he was a hell of a broadcaster with Monday Night Football.
Snowman, I thought you would have gone with the homer pick of Carlton Fisk. That's
why
I was
put the condition in there. That's why I put the condition in there, because I've watched film of Dierdorf and I can't offer you an argument to the negative. I put the homer pick in there just because I've watched more of Carlton Fisk live, but I can't argue with Dan Dierdorf. I can't.
Dan Dierdorf was a pretty great athlete, with what he was to football. He spent all of his career with the St. Louis Cardinals for 13 seasons, never made it to a Super Bowl, but was one of the greats at his position, and went to Michigan as well. So when you think about his impact on football, however,
oh boy,
I disagree, Snowman. You forgot a Super Bowl champion. And no, I'm not talking about William the Refrigerator Perry. I'm talking about another 72 number that was another Super Bowl champion, Snowman. Another person who, like Dan Dierdorf, spent his entire career with one team. A team that you and I despise very, very much, but a team that I have to acknowledge with this number, with number 72. That is Ed Too Tall Jones as the best to ever wear number 72 in all of sports history. When you look at old Eddie Too Tall, this motherfather played for the Dallas Cowboys between 1974 and 1978, 1980 and 1989. Had a year off due to injury. But he was a first-team All-Pro in 1982, Super Bowl champion in Super Bowl 7, or Super Bowl 12, my apologies. And then a second-team All-Pro, between 1981 and 83 as well. Three-time Pro Bowler. When you look at his stats, I know Dan Dierdorf was a great and with one team, but he didn't get a Super Bowl ring. And that's why I got to give it to old Ed Too Tall Jones.
Okay, but no. Just no. I'm smiling 2 feet deep as I say that. Of course, I'm smiling 2 feet deep. What?
You want to come up in here and you want to say that Dan Dierdorf, who doesn't have a Super Bowl.
What?
I said doesn't have a Super Bowl.
What?
I'm talking about rings gets the dings.
What?
And I know Sammy's getting upset.
Say what again? Say what again?
But I'm just trying to lay it out there, Snowman. You have to get from A to B to get to Z at some point. You can't skip B, X, or 7 to get to Z.
Oh, no.
I know I threw a number in there, but that was for the creativity.
B, X, or 7. You realize I'm going to use
I did get that one from Snowman.
You realize I'm going to use that at 7 or W to get to Z. You do realize
it's
I'm
like a
use
jigsaw
that.
puzzle, Snowman. It's like
I
a
know that.
visual jigsaw puzzle.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
But no, Dan Dierdorf, in my opinion, is not the best to wear 72. And in Snowman's opinion, he feels like it is. So let us know, fans, if you agree with myself or Snowman.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
So what do you think, guys? Who do you think is the greatest to ever wear 72 in this point in all of sports history? As we are celebrating 100 episodes, tonight we are going through 71 through 80 and looking through the highlights. And we just now went through the first two, 71 and 72. We'll keep those comments going and we'll acknowledge those after this next clip when it comes to episode 73. And in this one, we'll definitely show here, Larry Allen is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 73 in all of sports history. Let us know here in the comments if you agree or disagree as we go through this clip to see what we have in store when it comes to the greatest to ever wear 73 in all of sports history. Legend Larry Allen is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 73 in all of sports history. How do you feel about this, Corey? Do you agree with the statement? Are you in or are you out?
When I was doing my research on this, I was kind of, a couple of names came up and I was like, but I am in.
He's in. Wow.
There has not been many linemen like Larry Allen. You see kind of it a little bit more in today's world because of technology, what they're feeding these big guys. A lot of these big guys aren't quote unquote, and I hope nobody takes offense to this, but fat boys anymore and strong. They're starting to be a lot more bulkier, a lot more muscular. Look at freaking Aaron Donald and other offensive linemen. And I went through and I looked at certain names and, some older players came up. I think the one of most significance, in my opinion, was Joe Thomas that came up, but Joe Thomas has never won anything. So it's kind of hard for me to say, hey, Joe Thomas is the same level as Larry Allen because Larry Allen's a Super Bowl champion. We can go through all his accolades, okay? But Larry Allen was a bull. Larry Allen was ahead of his time. Larry Allen, if he's one of those guys all the time that if you was on the defensive line and you saw him across from you and you had to figure out how to get around him, you might as well just go ahead and turn in your daggone football equipment for the day because you won't get past Larry Allen. And then please don't let him pull on a running play. Lord Jesus, the whole freaking defensive line cornerbacks, linebackers, they getting out of the way. They're not hitting Larry Allen. Larry Allen's putting them on their tail. You want to talk about pancakes with extra syrup? That is Larry Allen. Larry Allen is, I feel like in Madden, he's talked about a lot because he gets a card every single year in MUT. If you guys do not know what MUT is, it's Madden Ultimate Team, where you can do like a fantasy team thing. But in like retrospect, like sitting around and like sports debate shows and things like that, he doesn't get talked about enough as being one of the greatest offensive linemen of all time, in my humble opinion, sir. So while I was doing my research and looking, I really just couldn't bring it to myself to say that somebody wore 73 that was greater than Larry Allen.
You did some great research. And for the tipping of the scale, I almost agreed with you on this one. But for the sake of debate, for the sake of research, for the sake of 73, I am going to disagree as a mother-father has ever disagreed before. I'm out. And yes, Corey, the drama was there. And you know I hate drama. My man, I hate it. But I had to throw it here for this number, for episode 73. Corey, man, Larry Allen is not the greatest to ever wear 73. And I'm going to tell you why. There's two mother fathers that have that best in front of them. And that is John Hanna, who spent 13 years with the New England Patriots, 7-time first-team All-Pro, 3-time second-team All-Pro, 9-time Pro Bowler. He was part of the 70s All-Decade team, then the 80s All-Decade team, part of the 75th anniversary All-Time team, and part of the 100th anniversary All-Time team. But to better that one, and I only better it because he was an NFL champion in 1969. He was a 6-time first-team All-Pro, a 2-time second-team All-Pro, a 7-time Pro Bowler, part of the 1970s All-Decade team. Minnesota Vikings Ring of Honor. One of the 50 greatest Vikings of all time, and that is Ron Yary. Larry Allen came in 1994 as a rookie, part of a team that had already won 2 Super Bowls. A team that was already established, a team that would have won the 3rd Super Bowl with or without Larry Allen at that position known as offensive guard. They could have plugged some other big person, as you like to say, in there, as, you know, not trying to offend anybody like my man Corey here, but a little bit of pudgier guy you could have picked up on the practice squad, just get him to stand in one place. You could have got him to fill that hole, okay? Larry Allen did okay. Larry Allen spent 13 years with the Cowboys based on reputation of that one Super Bowl. My apologies, spent 12 years from 94 to 05. Outstayed his welcome, got overpaid in Dallas, then went to San Francisco to finish off his year in a 2-year stint with 06 and 07 with the 49ers that hadn't established themselves yet. So you do bring a lot of good points here to the table with Larry Allen, but a lot of them were prefabricated based on what the team already was before he got there. So when I think about the impact to the game at number 73, it has to go to either John Hanna or Ron Yary. And I give it to Ron Yary because old Ronnie got an NFL championship and was just as much of an impact to the Minnesota Vikings for a longer period of time than what one Larry Allen was.
I tell you what, I was struggling between Larry Allen and John Hanna. That's just funny that you brought him up. I was struggling between the two because, you know, John Hanna was a beast. You know, and it was rough for me, but you know, to kind of go back at what you said though about plugging somebody in his spot, you mean to tell me offensive line, okay, one of the strongest, fastest big men on the field. People sleep on offensive linemen. Offensive linemen are fast. If you don't believe me, look at some Trent Williams highlights. Okay. San Francisco 49er tackle. Insane. Okay. But and even though he was added to an already, you know, championship type of team, he made a difference. Emmitt Smith isn't Emmitt Smith without those 5 guys in front of him. You know, those guys, any team, you could pick any running back, great running back in history, you know, besides maybe like what, Barry Sanders, who had nobody and he had to make the whole daggone team miss in order to score. I mean, you know, those big, powerful backs, Barry Sanders, not Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, Adrian Peterson, guys like that, they needed those guys. And I don't think that Emmitt Smith really would have gotten that far if it wasn't for Larry Allen. Larry Allen was a beast, man. He was a beast.
The Daryl Johnston, there was the powerful running back blocking, powerful fullback blocking in front of you as well. So when you think about all that was blocking for you, it wasn't just Larry Allen. There were some other people in that offensive line that had already been established before his rookie year in 94. So you're bringing some great points to the table. And for the sake of debate, we definitely have some great ones back and forth.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
So what do you guys think about that when it comes to episode 73's By the Numbers, number 73, greatest to wear it of all time? And we got some back and forth action here in YouTube. Well, looks like on the YouTube video. Yeah, Cowboys pick, let's go, says Ike. No, it wasn't just because of the Cowboys now.
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no, to the no.
It's because of the fact that he was pretty decent to wear 73 and nothing to do with the fact that he was on the Cowboys. They're Ike. Dem boys going to the ship this season.
What? What? What?
I'm speechless. I'm really speechless.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you please shut the hell up?
Still speechless. Melvin jumps in and says, Ike is slithering around up in here. Again, I see. Yes, he absolutely is when it comes to that. Absolutely terrible when it comes to that behavior, when it comes to that. Ike, dim boys going to the ship. Come on, get out of here with that. Larry is solid for 73, but not the greatest. I definitely agree with you. That's where my take was when we were talking about that in the clip. But Ike, you saying that you are fucking serious about them boys going to the ship. I mean, all the Cowboys fans out there are not saying that right now on August 22nd of 2023, okay? And yeah, you say the Cowboys pick and they're going to the ship, but you have got...
Would you please shut the hell up?
Because the comments that you guys got going back on forth and here on YouTube are absolutely motherfather and insane. And Melvin says, 2 motherfathers, yes. Definitely from that clip where I was describing that, taking that scenario, yes, the greatest to wear that situation. I said what I said, Melvin. Yes, you did say what you said, Ike. We definitely see that. We see that, Ike, but nobody got time for that nonsense. And for that...
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Absolutely, and I even commented in that situation during that video clip when all this was going on, saying thank you, Melvin. Well, guys, that's definitely been the comments throughout the episode 73 highlight. Let's take this now into episode 74. And with this, we discussed the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 74 in all of sports history. It's back on January 17th for this celebration of episode 71 through 80 highlights. And for this, we talk about Bruce Matthews and some others to wear 74. Let us know in the comments how you feel about this highlight clip right here. Matthews is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 74 in all of sports history. How do you feel about this, Dwayne? Do you agree with the statement? Are you in or are you out on this one?
I am 100% in. First and foremost, you're talking about 19 seasons with one organization, from Houston to Tennessee. I'm almost speechless. First of all, he played every position online. Like, he played every single, and at one point, he was even a long snapper for a punter. I mean, when you're talking about longevity, you're talking about third most played games in NFL history. I'd be hard-pressed to find anybody that wore the number 74 better than Bruce Matthews. I'm trying to contemplate, because I looked it up. I said, well, wait, let me double-check for a second. I don't want to be biased. Let me figure it out. But when you look at all that he accomplished and the amount of time as far as longevity, the positions he played, even in coaching, he coached in Tennessee and he coached in Houston. Like, he stayed loyal to one franchise or some variation of that franchise or shift of it. Neither here nor there. But listen, if anybody can find anybody that wore that number better than Bruce Matthews, please let me know, because I haven't seen one. First of all, 19 seasons in the NFL. And then you're talking about 19 seasons with one franchise, even when there was a regional shift and change. Unbelievable. I mean, they don't make them like that. You see, these guys last 4, 5, 6 years and they're done. But we're talking 19 seasons. First of all, it's already an accolade to survive 19 seasons in the NFL. And I'm talking about back when he played, it wasn't as many rules as it is now. Right. But for him to have that long of a career with one franchise to be able to accomplish what he's able to accomplish, there's not much of an argument here. 100% in.
You bring some compelling
Drew, you
arguments
seem
to
conflicted.
this table.
You seem conflicted. Come on now. I got to hear this. Here we go.
I am so conflicted. First of all, a disagreement in this statement because I am out. My man Dwayne Allen brings some compelling arguments to the table.
He did.
And probably one of the best debates for a round 4 by the numbers topic in itself.
Absolutely.
When I think about the best to ever wear the mother, father in 74, okay? The mother, father in 74, Dwayne. And you think about it as you sit there looking stoic and thinking about it. I'm telling you right now, as I look into 74, there's 2 people that are better than Bruce Matthews. Number 1, and this is in second place, not number 1 overall, but in second place above Bruce Matthews for the best to ever wear 74 is Merlin Olsen, who spent 15 years with the LA Rams, 6-time first-team All-Pro, 1964, 66 through 70.
Get him.
4-time second-team All-Pro, 63, 65, 73, and 74.
Get him.
14-time Pro Bowler.
Get him.
Yes. Bruce Matthews did get 14 Pro Bowlers, is part of the Hall of Fame. And I give you all of that. It was what he did and meant to the organization known as the Houston Oilers, Tennessee Titans, whatever it evolved to in the time frame that he was there. But the number 1 person to wear 74 not only surpassed both of them, but is a Super Bowl champion there, Dwayne. Something that Bruce could not do. And that is Bob Lilly of the Dallas Cowboys, which, again, it makes me sick to even acknowledge the Cowboys twice on this show. But I have to. I got to give credit where it's due historically. It was 74. Bob Lilly, Dallas Cowboys, 14 seasons, Super Bowl champion, 7-time first-team All-Pro, 2-time second-team All-Pro, 11-time Pro Bowler, part of the 1960s and 1970s All-Decade team. And keep in mind, he only played the first 4 years of that decade. And he was still part of the All-Decade team. Part of the NFL 75th and NFL 100th all-time anniversary team. Of course, he's part of the Dallas Cowboys Ring of Honor. He was a consensus All-American in college and a 2-time All-SWC Player of the Year in 1959-1960. So when I think about the impact that he had for over 2 decades in the game of football, and I hate to acknowledge Dallas Cowboys, but I got to give it to Bob Lilly. I'm sorry, Dwayne.
Drew, you cheated with the Super Bowl thing. That's not fair. This is exactly why I said this, because you just used my whole argument that I had against Dak Prescott against me. That's not fair. It's hard to argue with accolades of success. You know what I mean? It's like at this point you're kind of argue logistics. So like there's nothing for me to argue when you look at those numbers. And when you talk about Bob Lilly, first of all, he's impacted the game, longevity as well. But it's like this. In football, we always judge football players by Super Bowl championship wins, and I'd be lying right now if I didn't say that doesn't make a difference. The only Merlin Olsen is another one. I don't think I would have put him ahead against over Bruce Matthews, but it's almost the same thing. But I'll say this: at this point, the argument becomes what was more tougher, football in the 70s or football in the 80s than professional, and that's just that's a whole show in itself, because it's okay, well, in the 70s, those guys were still working part-time. I think those guys still had regular jobs while they were playing professional football. You know what I mean? Versus the decade, the 80s, the NFL it began to evolve a little bit more in regard to it, not necessarily it's a full-time sport, but close to it. But like I said, at that point, you're measuring apples and oranges, and that's a generational conversation. So I'm stuck, man. You got me. That was a good one. See, I'm glad I was episode number 74, because that was a good one.
It definitely was. That was one of we've had some great debates on here with the by the number segment since I brought it in here about 50 so episodes ago. But that was one of my favorite ones right there. You came in here with your notes ready. You were rock and rolling, and I just threw out there Bob Lilly. And even though it might have been a cheat code because of Super Bowl, I'm sorry, had to throw it out there, bro.
Yeah,
had to.
I get it. I would have done the same. I would have done the same thing. So it's I would have done the same thing. I can't be mad.
What do you guys think?
Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Comes to the greatest athlete to ever mother, father, and wear 74 in all of history. We are live looking back on the greatest moments of the In or Out Sports Debates first 100 episodes. So we recently reached 100 and we're celebrating them all. Started with 1 through 10, and tonight we are covering 71 through 80. And with that, we have episode 74 we just went through as we've almost at the midway point. Jonah is in the house. Yes, I'll acknowledge your comment here in a second, but we got to start at the top from the last segment. Looks like we got Bruce Matthews, his kids, and entire family are beasts, says Melvin Turismo on YouTube. Absolutely. They are beast, and that's why I had to showcase Bruce Matthews back in January on this episode 74. Clay got a ring too. Yes, he did. It was a big part of that Packers team that got that ring. Also said, I can't argue with Bob Lilly either. Yes, I had to come there. You know, you got to see me as a Washington Commanders, formerly known as the REDSKINS, the slur, the commies, the Washington team of football, hashtag WTF. Yes, I have the half-sleeve tattoo. Besides all of that, when you think about the factor of where that team has been, and you got to think at me being a lifetime fan, and to go with Bob Lilly, who is a Dallas Cowboy diehard player, for me to go with that and argue that with 74, do you know how hard that was? But as a legitimate sports historian, I had to come in there with the real facts, and Bob Lilly is who I decided to go in there with my argument was for. Right here, Jonah says, your boy Dak, laugh out loud, so much hate. Y'all keep overhyping yourselves, but y'all got to face reality, and the reality is that Dak is not the future quarterback of the team. That, you know what, Jonah definitely deserves some transitions right here. And first of all, I'm going to acknowledge you, Jonah.
Acknowledge me.
That was absolutely spot on point, because that pretty much tells the Cowboy fans out there this.
You should know your role and shut your mouth.
Using Jonah's sentence right here. Let me do this.
Let me talk to you.
Some of you Cowboys fans out there are pretty motherfather and delusional, and we are going over a clip that was from like 6 or 7 months ago in our highlights, okay? This is completely off the rails from what we're doing in this show tonight, but you got people like Jonah. I don't know if you saw this in the comments earlier, but earlier in this show, you got Ike saying this. Ike saying, them boys going to the ship this season, Drew. I came up in here back with that saying.
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no, to the no, no.
It's like when Triple H looked at Shawn Michaels right here and said this.
You know, liar, liar.
Know your role,
You
Ike.
should know your role and shut your mouth.
Back to the comments. Jonah, I'm always in the house. He says, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate you, brother, as you are here live on Facebook with me as we are going through multiple platforms right now live. We have covered episodes 71 through 74. We'll keep this ship on a rolling as we're at the midway point of the show where we're going to cover episode 75. And on January 23rd, Deacon Jones is the greatest mother, father, and athlete to ever wear 75 in all of sports history. Do you think it was Deacon Jones? Do you have somebody else in mind? Even if it's NASCAR, let us know here in the comments if you think it's someone else that's better, or if you agree with the greatest to wear 75 in all of sports history for episode 75. Jones is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 75 in all of sports history. Do you agree with this statement there, Joey? Are you in or are you out on this one?
I can't believe this is even a question. I am so far out. Come on, man. Mean Joe Green of the Pittsburgh Steelers and that Iron Curtain of theirs. Over 13 seasons, he was a 10-time Pro Bowl selection, 5-time first-team All-Pro, and was named the AP Defensive Player of the Year and NFL Defensive MVP twice. He actually got rated by the NFL as the 13th best player in NFL history and named to the NFL's 75th anniversary all-time team. This is not even a question. It's not a debate. It's Mean Joe Green, and it's not even close.
Joey, once again, I have to agree with you. I am out. And I am out for the reason of the same player that Joey brought up, Mean Joe Green, a staple to that Steel Curtain team. You know, winning those Super Bowls with the team back in the 70s. I mean, he's a 4-time Super Bowl champion, 2-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year in 72 and 74. He was a Defensive Rookie of the Year. And most importantly, when you put all of those awards aside, one of the most important ones, and if you were to ask him which one was his favorite one, it was probably the NFL Man of the Year award besides the actual Super Bowls that he won. Because being the Man of the Year means that everyone within the league feels like you are a great person in and out of football and you give back to the community. So looking at that, and I look at the comparisons between the others, like Lomas Brown and Deacon Jones would be third on my list, but Lomas Brown was also a great player in the NFL, but doesn't have a storied career like Mean Joe Green. That's why I got to agree with Joey here. I disagree with Deacon Jones. I am out. Give it to Mean Joe Green.
Yeah, can we just talk about how every time that someone has a nickname that's like mean or like, tiny or, like something along those lines, it is completely wrong. And it's the opposite, right? Like if you meet someone with the nickname of tiny, obviously they're going to be massive. And in Mean Joe Green's case, he's genuinely one of the most genuine players to ever be in the NFL. He has the accolades to prove it. And every account of any interaction with Mean Joe Green states that he is one of the most nice and charismatic people that you will ever meet.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, it's just time will tell if there's anybody else that will ever wear the number 75 better, but they've got some big shoes to fill when it comes to Mean Joe Green and the best to ever wear 75. So Joey and I definitely agree with that.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
So what do you guys think about that for the best to ever wear 75? And the sad part was that shortly after that, Mean Joe Green passed away, with everything that, we had going on with that, when you think about it, all that stuff. So definitely he made a very big impact to the game of football. Let's see what you guys got here in the comments right here when it comes to what you got to say. Jonah says, nah, they ain't going to get no chip. They always choke it anyway in the first round anyways. Yes, I'm going to give Jonah this. And when the Commanders, a.k.a. the Commies, a.k.a. the WTF team, a.k.a. a team with the name that hopefully that goes back to the old name or to a better name than what we currently have, does better than you at the end of this season, we're going to look back on this. Look back on all you Cowboys associations and say this.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Absolutely, with a little bit of
Yeah!
Tell him, Jonah. So when it comes to that, Jonah also says, can't forget about Tony Chokemo. Yes, when it comes to Tony Romo. Deacon was a legend of his time, but Mean Joe Green is the best pick here. Yes, when it comes to Mean Joe Green, definitely a legend in his own right when it comes to all that. And no, I think the person I'm thinking of before that, I misspoke a moment ago. I was thinking of Franco Harris, not Mean Joe Green. So he recently passed away around the time that he was supposed to be honored or whatnot by the Steelers. So we got my time frame mixed up on that. Forgive me on that one. But when it comes to Mean Joe Green, definitely a great pick there. And Jonah definitely spot on with that, as we have now covered episode 71 through 75 this evening on August 22nd. It is 7:44 p.m. Eastern time as we've gone through episode 71 through 75. It is now time to go to the next episode. And in the next episode, we discuss the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 76 was our highlight from this episode. And we go through the greatest athletes that wore that number. And let us know in the comments if you agree with what we had to say during that episode. And I'll acknowledge it in between this and 77 after this highlight. Let us know what you think here in the comments. Whitworth is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 77 in all of sports history. Do you agree with this statement? Are you in or are you out on this one?
I'm going to go out. We're going to transition to the ice a little bit. We're going to.
All right, so my apologies. Technical difficulties. I grabbed the wrong clip. I started with the next one instead of the current one. So my apologies. Clicked the wrong one. We're on 76. Let's go back to 76. McMichael is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 76 in all of sports history. As you notice, I even threw his professional wrestling picture in the far right corner there just for SNGs. How do you feel about this one? Do you agree with the statement? Are you in or are you out, brother?
You know, at one point I had a creative answer that you fouled me by not doing number 75, and then it would have been and one, so then it would be me. But I'm not even that cocky. There's another big man. I am out on that being the guy you want, though. So listen, I know you cover NASCAR as well. Heck, it's one of the funnier parts of your intro, Drew Willingham. But at the end of the day, I can't believe you couldn't keep pace with the correct answer, Orlando Pace. That's right. Take my hometown and what needs to happen at the beginning of every NASCAR race that you enjoy, and you come up with the O-lineman that set the tempo for the greatest show on turf. But why is he so important? They had all those skill players. A Mike Marks system that was known for getting quarterbacks killed for all the time plays needed to develop going down the field. And listen, no disrespect to Isaac Bruce or Torrey Holt, who are both Hall of Famers in their own right, and heck, even Marshall Faulk catching passes like running backs didn't up to that point, calling the series of inductions in Canton football heaven, and rightly so, still quoted to this day from doing that. But none of that happens without Orlando Pace locking things down before Sandra Bullock ever dyed her hair in The Blind Side. And I don't know that she got the second highest. I don't know that he got the second highest paying piece on the roster as the quarterback and the left side, the blind side, but whatever. Orlando Pace was definitely a huge part of the success of several Hall of Fame careers and the greatest show on turf. And I could even make an argument that he helped make that offense so good and so relevant. He made a man famous for coming in as a backup to beat them in a Super Bowl. You know, Drew Willingham's favorite guy. He shouts in black and white and every day and every. But listen, I make all the jokes, but Orlando Pace is a resurgence in a series of awesome left tackles in this era of football where it wasn't run first, where the passing game became the bread and butter. And I think Orlando Pace doing all of that. Without that, Mike Martz just gets a bunch of guys like Trent Green hurt bad.
Kyle Nash. I cannot believe the blasphemous stuff that just came out of your mouth. Right now, I have to disagree with this statement. I am in. Kyle Nash, Orlando Pace does have a Super Bowl championship with the St. Louis Rams, okay? But Steve McMichael has a championship with one of the greatest teams of all time, the 15-1 Chicago Bears that won the mother-fathering Super Bowl. On top of that, look at this graphic, Kyle Nash. Look at this graphic. I'm about to pull up here. Look at the far right. He was a professional mother-fathering wrestler, okay? Look at that look on his face in that second picture, okay? And that first picture on the far left, he is in the zone. And even the black and white picture shows his age and agingness like a fine wine on that third picture. But the fourth one right there, that's the biggest one, Kyle Nash. That's the biggest one. He's a professional wrestler for WCW between 1995 and 1999. After his professional NFL career ended, Steve McMichael, who played between the years of 1980 and 1994, not many people know this, but he started with one legendary team that was eventually led by one Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II. In 1980, Steve McMichael was starting with the New England Patriots, then goes to the Bears, then goes to the mother-fathering Bears. From 1981 to 1993, a historic career for 13 seasons before ending it with Brett Favre, who you brought up earlier, in the Green Bay Packers in 1994. Then goes on to be a coach from 2007 to 2013. Again, he was an NCAA All-American in 1979. Comes into that with big hopes and dreams in 1980 with the New England Patriots. Won a Super Bowl years later with one of the greatest teams of all time, the Chicago Bears, in 1985 Bears. And then Kyle Nash, on top of Orlando Pace. You didn't even bring up Steve Hutchinson, Marion Motley, any of those other players that still deservingly deserve to be ahead of Orlando Pace. Marion Motley was a NFL champion in 1950, played for the Cleveland Browns from 1946 to 1953, pre-Jim Brown, but still then went to the Pittsburgh Steelers in 1955. Then you have Steve Hutchinson. We wouldn't even be talking about Matt Hasselbeck in the Super Bowl without Steve Hutchinson playing there from 2001 to 2005. Then went to the Vikings, which the Vikings would not have gone to that AFC championship with Brett Favre without Steve Hutchinson blocking for him at that guard position. Then played with the Titans in his last year in 2012. A 5-time first-team All-Pro from 03 to 05 and 07 to 09. Second-time first team in the years that he wasn't in 04 and 06. 7-time Pro Bowler consecutively from 03 to 09. But I'm giving too much love to Steve Hutchinson. Let's go back to Steve McMichael. NCAA All-American 1979. Super Bowl champion with the greatest team of all time, Chicago Bears. 2-time first-team All-Pro, 85 and 87. 2-time second-team All-Pro in 86 and 91. 91, still with the Bears. 2-time Pro Bowler in 86 and 87. And he is part of the top 100 greatest Bears of all time. The man had 838 tackles, 95 sacks, 2 interceptions. Orlando Pace, when you look at what he did as a tackle, had 169 games played, 165 games started, 7 fumble recoveries. When you look at Steve McMichael there, Kyle Nash, he had 838 tackles, 95 sacks, 2 interceptions. And when you look at the amount of games this guy played, he played in over 200 and some games. He played more games than Orlando Pace did. You got to tip your cap to Steve McMichael. And on top of that, Kyle Nash, he was part of the 4 horsemen in WCW with the one and only legendary Nature Boy, Ric Flair. I rest my case.
Wow. When it comes to your disrespect for the offensive line, it makes me want to say, woo, you're out of your element. Let me back. You're going to start talking about stats when you're talking about offensive linemen? Sir, that is not how these things work. By the way, you're talking about the Titans in 2012. Listen, that offensive line found a way to get Kerry Collins 10 wins, if I have my year correct. That's an accomplishment in and of itself. Just ask the Giants who lost in that Super Bowl where he was quarterbacking, against Trent Dilfer. Anyways, so that's all adorable. Oh, he played for the Bears. How come he's one of the lesser-known Bear defensive players on the team? Oh, that's right. They're stacked like Pamela Anderson in a beach drama. I don't want to hear about that. The Bears are a great team. Everybody's going to eat a little bit. Just ask the Eagles defense. Everybody eats a little bit. They're all good. Orlando Pace made everyone around him look great in a position where you don't hear names. His pops up. By the way, MVP for his squad at Ohio State University. Who the hell names an offensive lineman an MVP? It sure isn't the NFL. I know that. At any rate, these are all adorable things you tell me about a guy who was surrounded with more support than London Bridge, and it's never falling. Oh, wait. London Bridge is falling down. That's a song. Never mind. The punchline's this. Your argument has the support of Tower of Pisa, where Orlando Pace supported again a guy, Trent Green, got murdered in the backfield because of Mike Martz's offense. And yet Mark Bolger made a god with the Rams behind Orlando Pace.
You just brought up a great point, Kyle Nash. Trent Green got murdered while Orlando Pace was on that line. Do you recall how that Super Bowl ended against the Titans? Who was the one who stopped that final play? Who was it? Was it Orlando Pace blocking for Kurt Warner to get the touchdown?
Mike Jones.
one of the greatest linebackers that we've ever seen, who went to the Bills after that, and in the Washington, formerly known as the REDSKNS. It was London Fletcher who saved that Super Bowl. Had it not been for London Fletcher making that tackle on Kevin Dyson, the
That's
Rams
Jones,
would have
bro.
been Super Bowl
That's not
champions.
London Fletcher.
Yeah, it was.
Mike Jones made the tackle.
I thought it was London Fletcher.
No, sir.
But was it Orlando Pace? It was not Orlando Pace that made a tackle or blocked for a game-winning touchdown for Kurt Warner. It was a defensive play. So, had it not been for who? Mike Jones or London Fletcher or who we want to talk about, it doesn't fathering matter. It was not Orlando Pace that made that trajectory of that game change. And you had Mark Bolger after that. What did the Rams do after that? Yes, they got to another Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Kurt Warner, and they lost against the one led by Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II. However, was Orlando Pace a big game changer? Yes, he was. I'll give you that.
And more.
But with the let's play this game, Kyle Nash. If you subtract Steve McMichael from that defense and you subtract Orlando Pace from that St. Louis Rams team, which one has a better chance to win?
So let me return that answer this way. Who would you subtract from the Bears defense? It doesn't matter who you subtract from that Bears defense. They're amazing. That's the point. It's up there with the guy named Lombardi coaching you. You never heard of Dave Robinson? If I say Dave Robinson, you think basketball. He's in a Hall of Fame inductee, and I know it only because I was there for my first credential event in 2013. You know, a year after McMichael retired, I guess. But the punchline is this. That's just a happy coincidence. It's not trash talk. I just put it together in my head right then. It was funny. But yeah, that Bears defense is stacked. And please do not put me in the awkward position of hating on that group because of the way they all on their shoulders carried the most overrated quarterback of all time, and Vince McMahon. Man, a quarterback there. Forget it. Vince McMahon. That was funny. See, all this wrestling talk, this is your fault.
I think this is a situation where neither one of us can.
You can't handle the truth.
Max, bro, because Bishop Bullwinkle's spinning in his grave right now saying this to both.
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no, no, to the no, no.
What do you think, fans? Let us know what you think in those comments. Kyle right? Am I right? Or are we both wrong? Who do you think is the greatest to ever wear the number 76 of all time?
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
So what do you all think who are currently watching this right now? Do you think that we had it right with 76? Kyle, myself, what do you think? Looks like we got some more comments here. Looks like Melvin's back and active on this show. 77 before 76. Yes, I definitely made a little goof up right there, Melvin, and clicked the 77 before the 76. It's all good. We recovered. Everything worked out. Got to see what we needed to see, and now we're back to 76. Here comes Drew with the fire. Yes, definitely, Melvin, for acknowledging that. I appreciate it. Adamant about Steve McMichael, even said mother, father. Yes, absolutely did. Absolutely did. It said that I will not let it go on 76 with the laughing emojis. Absolutely. And guys, according to Stream Elements right here, please subscribe now and never miss out on new content, as we definitely keep it rolling here on a consistent basis here on Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome. With that being said, we've covered through episode 76. We're going to take this to episode 77 real quick. And with that, back on February 6th, Andrew Whitworth is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 77 in all of sports history. In this episode right here, we discuss the greatest to ever wear 77 in our opinions. Let us know here in the comments if you agree or disagree with our take for the best ever wear 77. Is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 77 in all of sports history. Do you agree with this statement? Are you in or are you out on this one?
I'm going to go out. We're going to transition to the ice a little bit. We're going to go with Ray Bork. 11th all time in games played, 4th in all time assists, First in points by a defenseman, first in goals by a defenseman, a Calder Trophy winner, 5 times Norris Trophy winner, 13-time NHL first team All-Star, and 6-time second team All-Star, and a 2001 Stanley Cup champion with the Colorado Avalanche. I definitely agree that in one of the toughest sports that you can play, that being hockey, I believe that he was the greatest to wear number 77.
Joseph. How many years Ray Bork play again?
He played a lot. He played it's 11th in all times game played. Hold on, let me look.
I think he played for like 22, 23 years, something
Played
like that.
for a lot. Yeah, I think it was 23.
It's like 79 to 01, so whatever that was. I think it was like 23 seasons.
Yeah, 23 seasons.
I was about to roast the father out of you, but I guess I'm going to have to change it up. But I'm still going to disagree. I am in. Joseph Andrew Whitworth played a linesman position, okay? Andrew Whitworth won a Super Bowl in the last year that he played. He went from the Cincinnati Bungles to the LA Rams and then won a championship with the Rams. Fans, if you disagree, just fire them all up in the comments because I know somebody's going to disagree. Somebody's going to take hockey over football. And yes, slicing on the ice and the impact and the speeds. And I know Joey gets, all sorts of ways and feels some types of man feelings when it comes to hockey because he loves hockey. Okay. So I should have known that he was going to pick Ray Bork for this one for episode 77. But I got to give it to Andrew Whitworth. Why? Because we share the same first name. And that name is awesome. It's monumental. The name Andrew is awesome. Name your kid Andrew after me or after Andrew Whitworth because he is a Super Bowl champion. Give it to Andrew, okay? Won a Super Bowl championship with the Rams. What had the Rams done since he left? Not a mother-fathering thing, okay? What had the teams that Ray Bork played for? The team that he played for, the Boston Bruins. Where have they been since Ray Bork left in 2001? Nowhere. Colorado Avalanche. Where have they been? Oh, yes, they did win a Stanley Cup recently. Okay, I take it back, Joseph. But still, the best to wear number 77. And I'm probably not even arguing with the best. The fans know what's up. Let me know in the comments. I think Andrew for Andrew, give it to him for number 77.
I will be. He is a great linesman and he played a really tough position. I just couldn't the accolades. He's too good of a player to not give the greatest to wear 77.
It was about time somebody pulled a hockey player out here. It's been a while since we've argued a hockey player for the best to wear a certain number. So I might have to take my hat off to Joseph for that one. But Andrew for Andrew, Joseph. Got to. I admit, that's a good selling point.
I mean, you could make the same argument for Ray and Ray.
Ray. Yeah. The one name I liked there was 2 names on this list that I liked. It was Curly Culp. I thought that name was pretty sweet. Old double C, C squared. Okay, I like that one. And Willie Roaf. That name was pretty sweet. It's like a loaf of something. Like,
right.
I'm not going to say what I was thinking because it's a little bit. I think you know what I'm talking about when it comes to pinching things. So when it comes to that and roofing, we're going to give it to that. But other than that,
take a drink of water on that note.
Yeah, take a drink of water of that. We'll kind of move on to the next one. But guys, let us know what you think is the best to wear 77. If you even know a 77 that was a great player to wear that number. NASCAR is not excluded. If you know somebody who drove number 77 who was great, let us know here in the comments. We'll acknowledge them here at the end.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
So, guys, what do you think when it comes to that take for the greatest to ever wear 77 in all of sports history? Got a few comments here. We'll acknowledge those. Looks like it's Melvin back at it over here. Says, the Andrew for Andrew argument. Yes, definitely. I tried with Joseph on the Andrew for Andrew. It wasn't quite working. And then he brought up the Ray. Yes, absolutely did bring up the Ray. It was definitely good times here on episode 77. And with that, we take that into episode 78. And with this, was Art Shell the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 78 in all of sports history? Check out what we had to say here for episode 78. Let us know, and we'll acknowledge your comments here at the end of this highlight. Shell is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 78 in all of sports history. How do you feel about this one, LG? Do you agree with this one? Are you in or are you out on this one?
Very close, and I gotta respect Art Shell, man. He was a legend for sure. I'm out. I'll stay in the same league, man. Anthony Muniz. Okay, 78. Let's compare the two. Both tackles. Art Shell got them 2 Super Bowls, 2 first team All Pros. He's got 2 second team All Pros, 8-time Pro Bowler. He's in the NFL 1970s All Decade team. Okay, NFL 100th anniversary all time team. Okay. All right, now we're gonna go to Anthony Muniz. 14-year career, 11-time Pro Bowler to Art's 8, 9 first team All Pros to Art's 2. Okay, you got 2 second team All Pros. You got 1980s All Decade team. He's on the 75th anniversary team and the 100th anniversary team. He was on the All Rookie team. He's in the Cincinnati Bengals Ring of Honor. And don't forget, he won a national championship. He won a national championship in 78. I got Muniz.
LT, I like your disagreement with this. I'm going to disagree with this too, but for a different player. I'm about to light you up, brother. LT had a lot of great stipulations for why he chose Anthony Muniz, but I have an even better one. And that one is the one and the only Bruce Smith.
What?
I said Bruce Smith.
What?
One and only Bruce Smith.
What?
This guy helped lead the Buffalo Bills to 4 straight Super Bowl appearances.
What?
I said 4 straight Super Bowl appearances.
What?
He didn't win.
What?
Said he didn't win.
What?
Can blame it on the kicker.
What?
Doesn't matter.
What?
Sammy's getting pissed, Stone Cold.
Say what again? Say what again?
However, he was part of a legendary team.
What?
I'm sorry, Sammy, but he was part of a legendary team.
What?
Led the Buffalo Bills to 4 straight Super Bowl appearances. He was a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year in 1990 and 1996, an 8-time First Team All-Pro, 2-time Second Team All-Pro, an 11-time Pro Bowler to match Anthony Muniz, 2-time NFL Forced Fumbles co-leader. He was part of not only the 1980s All-Decade team, but part of the NFL 1990s All-Decade team. Take all of that aside, LT. Take it all aside.
What?
Said, take it all aside.
What?
He was also part of the NFL's 100th anniversary all-time team. Part of the Buffalo Bills Wall of Fame. Part of the Buffalo Bills retired jerseys for number 78. So when I put all of that perspective, I love your pick for Anthony Muniz, but I have to disagree with your pick, even though we both disagree with this statement as well, and choose the one and only Bruce Smith, who also spent his last 4 seasons part of the team, formerly known as the REDSKINS.
I gotta apologize to my father, man. Being an avid Bills fan, the biggest. How could I forget about Bruce Smith? When you talk about one of the best DNs to ever play in a game, right? I think we had a conversation on Legacy on Fire. I think it was who we'd rather have. I think it was Reggie White or Aaron Donald, right? And we had that conversation, right? Bruce Smith was the guy that when I did a lot of my research, he was the guy who was thrown into that conversation, right? Like he was a menace for years. And to not include him in this is just a travesty. So apologies to my Buffalo Bill fans, to my 78 wearers, and to Bruce Smith, who I think you got this one dead on.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. I had to, not just because he was a former player of the REDSKINS, but because He went to 4 straight
Legend.
Super Bowl
He was
appearances.
a legend for sure.
Legend. Coming out in 1985, playing for 19 seasons from 85 to 03. 2 different teams, mainly with the Bills.
Yeah.
But he also helped propel the Bills in the later part of the 90s when he was playing with Doug Flutie.
Right. And I
So
think Munoz's his championship with USC really took it over the top for me. I was just like, well, you want to talk about somebody who's one of those accolades that push you over. That 78 USC team supposedly was nothing to mess with, man. So
I know, man, but I
Bruce
separate college and NFL. It's just,
yeah,
I have to, and just when I think about the impact that old Brucey had,
legend.
just absolute legend. So I had to go with him with that.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
So what do you guys think when it comes to the best to ever wear 78 in all of sports history? Do you agree? Do you think it was Art Shell, Anthony Munoz, or Bruce Smith? Let us know here in the comments. And it looks like we got a couple right now. We've got so many whats. Yes, we did have a lot of these moments during that show.
What?
Said a lot of these.
What?
Too many of these.
What?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did have a lot of those, Melvin. Thanks for calling that out. LT wasn't ready for the fire. No, he was not. By the end, he did.
Acknowledge me.
So it's all good. When it comes to the comments, also Melvin says, Drew crushed LT on this segment, he said. Yeah, I mean, some would say, but LT came and did a great job. He came ready and bringing the fire as well. And subscribe now and never miss out on new comment. I did it again. Subscribe now and never miss out on new content. So there it is. But thank you guys for tuning in so far, 71 through 78 here in the comments. We got 2 more episode highlights to go over. We're going to take this into episode 79 real quick. And with episode 79, look at the By the Numbers segment again. And this was on February 20th. And with this, the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 79 in all of sports history. With this, we have the topic leading off with Bob the Geek St. Clair. Let us know here if you agree with myself or Joseph here on if we with our take, if you feel like we had it down pat with this episode 79. The Geek St. Clair is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 79 in all of sports history. How do you feel about this one here? Do you agree with the statement? Are you in or are you out on this one?
This one was really close for me. Statistically, the guy that I picked and Bob St. Clair were really close, but I'm out. Statistically, again, they are really, really close, but I'm going to go with Rosie Brown. And again, like, it was fascinating when I was doing my research and I pulled them up side by side, and they had very similar careers statistically. You know, but when you put them up there, technically Rosie Brown was just ever so slightly better. You know, whereas Bob was selected to be an all NFL player 4 times, Rosie Brown was selected 8 times. St. Clair was selected to the Pro Bowl 5 times, Rosie Brown was selected 9 times. And then not only that, but Brown was also named to the 1950s All-Decade Team and the NFL's 75th Anniversary All-Time Team. So it was really close. I was really torn, you know, especially considering Bob St. Clair, again, all NFL 4 times, 5 Pro Bowls, played 11 seasons. And, you know, come to find out, and I didn't even know this until I looked it up, but he played literally his entire sports career, like the entire thing from high school to the NFL in one city. He played the whole thing in San Francisco. And that was pretty fascinating. And that was pretty cool because you don't ever see that. So that was pretty sweet. But yeah, I'm going to go with Rosie Brown as my player.
Joseph, when it comes to these players that you speak of, when it comes to Bob the Geek St. Clair. I mean, think about this guy's name. Think about how awesome of a nickname that was back in the day. The man probably had no idea how to use a mother, father, and computer. Yet, at the same time, this man had the nickname of the Geek, okay? He had the nickname of the Geek. You got Rosie Brown. And because his nickname is the Geek, and because he's in the NFL Hall of Fame, I have to disagree. I'm in. For squad life, Joseph. For squad life. And for the sake of argument for the first legitimate time in now 40 minutes of this show, I have to say that I have to argue in this one. And I have to say that Bob the Geek St. Clair deserves his flowers as the best to ever wear the number 79 of all time. Yes, you speak of one Rosie Brown, who was an NFL champion in 1956 with the New York Giants. And I speak of Harvey Martin as well, who was a Super Bowl champion with the Dallas Cowboys in the 70s. It was also an NFL Defensive Player of the Year as well. But when I think of Bob the Geek St. Clair and his impact on the NFL, so much of an impact that he was elected into the NFL Pro Football Hall of Fame. So, even though Rosie Brown was inducted to the Hall of Fame, and even though Harvey Martin was not, Bob St. Clair was. And he also has a cool nickname as the Geek St. Clair. So for that, I have to give it to Bob the Geek St. Clair, and for the sake of argument.
I'm not going to disagree with you. Like I said, they were really close. They were really close statistically. But yeah, no, he had the ever so slight edge, and that's why I went with Rosie Brown.
It's going to be interesting to see, if that ages well and if anybody actually cares. But if they do care, let us know in the comments if you care and if you agree or disagree with us for number 79 as the best to wear at all time. Was it Rosie Brown or was it Bob the Geek St. Clair?
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
So what do you think, guys? Do you care out there? Those of you that are still watching, as we just went through episode 79. Oh, we do have one comment that's popped up. Melvin says, I care, Drew, the laughing emoji. Well, thank you, Melvin, for being here. I appreciate it.
Acknowledge me.
And you just did. Thank you very much there, Melvin. I appreciate it. We've gone through episodes 71 through 79. There's only one more episode highlight to cover, and that is episode 80, as the man, myth, and legend of the BS3 network, Ben Sutter III, was here. And we discussed in episode 80, by the numbers segment, the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 80 in all of sports history. Check out myself with Mr. BS3 as we discuss this for episode 80's by the numbers segment. Rice is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 80 in all of sports history. How do you feel about this one, Ben? Do you agree with the topic at hand? Are you in or are you out on this one?
I am in. And here's my reasoning. I actually looked up players with the number 80. And none of them are even close to what Jerry Rice has done. Obviously, coming out of Mississippi Valley State, playing for the 49ers all those years. Yes, he had great quarterbacks, but he was an exceptional route runner, great hands, and he made the rest of the team great. So to me, yeah, he is the all-time great number 80. I don't think anyone's close. I don't think anyone will be close, because of the longevity and the amount of time that he did it, and even doing it with the Raiders after his time with the 49ers. So, yeah, Jerry Rice is the greatest number 8.
Just like you said, looking into it, you're trying to find someone that comes even relatively close to debate this topic just for the sake of debate. And in this case, I got to agree with you on this as well. I'm in too. And Ben said it best, the longevity. When you look at this man, he played all those years, the 49ers from 1985 to 2000. Played for the Raiders for a few seasons as well, from 01 to 04. Went to the Seattle Seahawks during that 2004 in a trade. But Ben, before I go into the rest of my rant, do you remember what his final team was that he actually almost played for, but left during the practice squad or left during the training camp? There was a team that he signed for in 2005.
The Bills?
No, but it was on ESPN 2K5, the game that had T.O. on the cover when he was in the Eagles jersey. One of the very few games that ESPN 2K5 came out. He signed and was part of the preseason Denver Broncos in 2005. Was number 19 because I remember that was one of the last games that came out before the rosters were updated on the internet.
Yeah,
and you could be him throughout that season on there, and that was actually one of my favorite football games. But I'll get back into that here in a second. When it comes to Jerry Rice, greatest to ever wear 80, because when you think about the other ones in comparison, like Ben was saying, you got Steve Largent, who I would probably say would be the second best. He played from 76 to 89, was a fourth-round draft pick in 1976 by the Houston Oilers, and had one hell of a career. That's Steve Largent. James Lofton, the wide receiver from 78 to 93, was another great one to wear number 80 as well. And on fourth on my list, I'd say would probably be Chris Carter, who played with the Minnesota Vikings. And then, of course, was part of that legendary 98 team where Randy Moss was an up-and-comer, and they had a chance to make it to the Super Bowl, and then laid a major egg in the playoffs. But we won't even go down that route because this is Jerry Rice's time right now, my man. When you think about what he did, as a 3-time Super Bowl champion, a 1-time Super Bowl MVP within those 3 Super Bowls, a 2-time NFL Offensive Player of the Year in 87 and 93, a 10-time first-team All-Pro in 86 to 90, 92 to 96, second-team All-Pro in 2002. In 2002, Ben, at the age of 40, Jerry Rice was a second-team All-Pro at 40. Now, this is before Tom Brady and cucumber yogurt or whatever the father that he was taking to keep on playing until he was 45 years old. When you think about Jerry Rice in that game of football, in that time frame, in 2002, to be 40 years old and to get second-team All-Pro in the position that he played at wideout, give it to my man, even though Darrell Green, of the formerly known as REDSKINS, was probably faster than him at that time in 2002, but he was still around. Old DG was still around in 2002. But back to Jerry Rice. Best to wear at number 80 because he leaves San Francisco. They're saying he's done. Leaves in the year 2000, his last season. Goes to the Raiders, and the first year helps lead the team to the freaking Super Bowl. Now, they did get decimated by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but that game we could debate in history of neither here nor there. You still got the team do the dance. Jerry Rice did it. You got to give it to our man Jerry, ESPN 2K5, and him being on the Denver Broncos, damn it.
Yeah, 100%. And he holds 5 records. Most career receptions, most career receiving yards, most receiving touchdowns, and most career total touchdowns. The longevity. And a quick story. I grew up in the Bay Area. My dad somehow got tickets to a charity game, and I'm a kid. And Jerry Rice gives me a high five as I'm sitting down. I'm like, I'm never, ever going to wash his hand. Obviously, I washed my hand when I got home.
But you were mad to do it. You didn't want to, but you knew you had
to. Not washing that hand. I don't care. But the greatness of Jerry Rice, man, I don't know. I was just looking up stats, and there's not anyone close. I mean, the closest is like Devontae Adams, but that's like 400. I think it's receptions is what he's close in. DeAndre Hopkins is close, but it's still 300 to 400. So Jerry is just in a class of his own, and I think just the work that he put in on the field and off the field, it showed.
Absolutely. And just even back then, when you take Tom Brady out of the equation and you just rewind 20 years, 2003, a year after he did it, when he was second team All-Pro as the year at the age of 40, okay? Not many people had played at a high caliber position and been that productive at the age of 40. Second team is still no joke because you're still part of one of the best in the game to still be a part of a league that's the best in the entire game of football. And you at the age of 40 on a team you have your first year with the team in Oakland and to get second team All-Pro, that is a huge accomplishment for someone at the age of 40 who the 49ers said were done the year before. And they were giving him, I remember that final game he was in. I was only like 13 years old when this happened. So I'm not too old, but when I look at it, I still remember it because I remember that last game in 49ers, he scored a touchdown, and they had a big celebration for him at the end of the game, like pretty much saying it was his swan song at the end of it. And that man goes to Oakland the next year, tears it up, helps lead them to the Super Bowl, and gets second team All-Pro along the way.
Yeah.
So it was great story for Jerry Rice, and he hung around a little bit too long there at the end, but nobody remembers that as they remember what he did throughout all those stats that we laid out for you guys. Let us know here in the comments what you think about our round 4, and if you agree with that for the By the Numbers segment here, if Jerry Rice was the best to wear number 80.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
So what do you guys think for the greatest to ever wear the number 80 in all of sports history? Let us know here in the comments. We'll acknowledge them before we get on out of here if you get them to us in time. It looks like we do have a couple from Melvin. Melvin here says, Jerry is the GOAT at 80, hands down. And definitely agree with you on that one when it comes to Jerry is the GOAT at 80, hands down there, Melvin. A good question here that I'll have to actually make sure that I share with Ben at some point, at least by the next time he's on this show. How did you become a Cowboys fan? If you, I'm guessing that means love. If you love Jerry Rice so much, with the laughing emoji, it's a good question. I'll make sure I ask him that. We can answer that for you the next time we get him on the show. Well, guys, we've gone through episodes 71 through 80 for the scheduled event for this edition for this evening. We're going to go ahead and take this into one more segment, and that will be the final word of this show, as it's something that we do on all the episodes of the In or Out Sports Debate. We'll be back here just a second to take care of the final word for this edition. And here with the final word on this edition, just wanted to say, looking back on episodes 71 through 80, you start seeing the growth. That was around the time just before then, not too long before then, I'd gotten this microphone, the new computer setup. It made a few upgrades to help the production quality of the shows. Definitely made a difference there. We get to 71 through 80. We complete that, and we're about to get to 81 through 90, which we'll be showcasing here soon. I'll announce when that'll be live with myself and all that here soon and shortly. But for tomorrow night, we have the student of the game, which will be tomorrow at Wednesday at 8:40 p.m. Eastern time. Definitely have to check out his review as he's doing the preseason review of all the teams right now before we get into the NFL season. But looking at that, with this final word, just wanted to thank you all who've been consistent throughout the chat. Those of you who've been watching on the different platforms, whether it be Facebook or Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever you're watching this on, whether it's live or syndicated, thank you all for your participation, your comments, the sharing, the helping in any way you can with the growth out here. Any little bit, even if it's one person a week or whoever it is or more, it's still growth, and I appreciate having the fans out here watching these shows. As we've now covered through 80 episode highlights, as we started with episode 1 last week, and we've gotten all the way on up to episode 80. We'll cover 2 more special editions, episodes 81 through 90, as well as 91 through 100. 81 through 90 were the last episodes that I had on Legacy Maker Sports Network, and from 91 on, we've been solely on Sertoba, as the entity that created this whole show and everything was through Sertoba Media. But now that we are solely with Sertoba as the broadcast, this is what you're seeing as far as the highlights to get you caught up on how it all started to where we are now on August 22nd at 8:28 p.m. Eastern time. So, but for the final word, just wanted to let you guys know, thank you very much for staying tuned here in the shows. I greatly appreciate the participation. And as always, from Stream Elements, subscribe now and never miss out on new content, whether it's YouTube or Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter, or Instagram, all of them. Snapchat, TikTok, you name it. Sertoba is on it now. We're doing the best we can to keep up out here in these streets. Well, that does it for the episode 71 through 80 special editions final word. We've only got one more thing to really do before we get on out of here. And those of you who've been watching this show consistently, you know exactly what in the father that is. And let's look at one semi-badass outro For myself, Drew Willingham, I only got one thing to tell you before we do so. Stay safe out here in these streets.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.